Hey everyone, Lisa Zabaniak here from lifelikeyoumeanit.com, and I'd like to talk to you today about feeling like a failure. So I know firsthand exactly what it is like to feel like a failure. So mine started because of the 10 years of child abuse that I endured from the age of 2 until 12, being told every single day that I was stupid, ugly, worthless, and useless by my abuser. Now, it didn't matter that I had a loving, supportive, caring, wonderful mom that was kind of opposing all of those thoughts. That didn't matter. What I focused on was the negativity, right? The demeaning and the belittling type of behavior. And that really turned into a deep rooted belief for me that I fully 100% believed that I was stupid, ugly, worthless, and useless. And so that meant that even after I found safety at the age of 12, moving through my teens and even into my 20s, I was already looking at all of my experiences through the eyes of somebody that fully believed that I was stupid, ugly, worthless, and useless. So we all do this. This isn't something that's unique to me or even unique to survivors of abuse. We all look at our experiences or look at what's happening around us right now in this moment based on our past experiences and all of those beliefs that are already entrenched in us. Those are the eyes that we are looking through. And that's why there can be so many people that will be experiencing the exact same thing at the same moment, and they will all have a different takeaway from it. They will all experience it differently, if you will, because it's all based on their own belief system, which is based on their previous experiences. So what that meant really, going around the world and viewing everything that's happening around me, the actions and the reactions, the words of other people through the eyes of somebody who didn't believe that I deserved any better, that I was too ugly, stupid, worthless, and useless, that I didn't deserve good things or success or happiness or etc. What that really meant is that I was in so much pain. I was hurting at my core. And in fact, I was suicidal because I wanted that pain to end so badly. Now, if I'm in my early 20s at this time, my late teens, early 20s at this time, the internet didn't exist then. So it's not like there was a lot of inspirational people that were around that I would have access to, Tony Robbins and even Oprah. Because of her past abuse experience, for example, of course, I saw her on the television and I was inspired by her story, but I didn't have the same type of access that you now have because of the internet to see people like me standing here now, fast forward a couple of more decades and seeing me talk about forgiveness and talk about building a beautiful life that you truly deserve and finding your own love within. That to me, back when I was in my early 20s, was laughable. It honestly, to see somebody like Oprah, who, obviously had the Oprah Winfrey Show, and I had learned a little bit about her story through that. She seemed, as would anybody else to you right now, as I might seem to you right now, to be completely unattainable, completely unrealistic, because she had a TV show, which obviously I didn't have, and in those eyes, I was never going to have, never, nobody was ever gonna know about me. But it was more than that. It was more than just her being a celebrity and me being a regular person, right? It was the fact that she had found something that I didn't think I was capable of finding, that love and respect for myself, right? So that meant that it was almost like rubbing salt into the wound, to see other people be successful, to see other people be able to forgive and let go and move forward and build an extraordinary life made me feel more like a failure because it felt like that was something that I couldn't do because I was still in that thought bubble of being too stupid, useless, ugly, worthless, all of that. I really truly believed it. And I didn't understand at that moment in time that I actually had control over those thoughts. It didn't dawn on me, it didn't occur to me that this was an active process, that I had just put myself on autopilot. And so I was allowing myself to speak to myself like that without thinking about it. But that if I did bring my attention to it, that I could make a different choice. That was something that I didn't understand at that time. And so seeing other people be happy and build successful, happy, loving lives for themselves really made me feel like I was so far removed from being able to do that and increased my feeling of being a failure. So for me, I needed to look outside of other survivors because I felt like I wasn't going to be capable of doing what they did, right? There was something wrong with me. I was a failure. I wasn't able to be loved. I realized I couldn't look at somebody like Oprah who has gone through some type of abuse and has worked her way through, and instead, I started looking at books that had nothing to do with abuse. So in my 20s, I started finding my way towards different spiritual types of books and started discovering my purpose in life. I started to explore the meaning of life and the choices that we have in life. And I started, following people like Deepak Chopra and started to really do some deep internal work that had nothing to do with abuse. So in that way, I wasn't comparing myself with somebody else's ability to forgive, for example, which I was really struggling with at that time. And what I ended up being able to discover is how forgiveness looked to me, but not based on, again, following somebody else who is forgiving abuse, but rather on the spirituality that I was learning about and growing on a spiritual type of level and starting to look at my place in the world being different and my interactions with people being different than how I was looking at them before. And that allowed me to start to entertain the idea of forgiveness. And that allowed me to then start entertaining the idea of forgiving myself for continuing this type of abuse through negative thoughts and not tackling the belief. And then that led to me starting to be able to look at those negative thoughts and look at the beliefs that were intrinsically in me and start to make a conscious decision to change those things. And before I knew it, I then was able to realize that I wasn't failing at this whole moving forward after abuse, that I wasn't failing at building a successful life, that I wasn't failing at learning how to love and accept and respect myself. I just went about it by not comparing myself to others that had experienced something similar and instead took a spiritual detour, if you will. So, my advice to you, if you are finding that you are in the same sort of boat, that you are finding maybe you are a member of my Facebook group for survivors of abuse and trauma. Maybe you've been following my work. Maybe there are other people that you are following as well who are survivors of abuse or trauma, and you've been comparing yourself with them, and you're finding that you're doing the same sort of thing where you're not being inspired to be able to actually do what they've been able to do, but rather because you're looking through the eyes of somebody who expects to fail because you don't believe that you deserve better, you don't believe that you are worthy, that you are actually feeling more of a failure because you're not able to do these things and you'll never be able to do these things. The thought process is because you are not good enough. So if you're finding that you are in that boat as well, then my recommendation is it's very long and vast really, but at the very heart of it, it's starting to raise your awareness for what it is that you are doing. So realizing that you're comparing yourself to others that are in a different stage in their recovery than what you are. And that perhaps you need to start looking at other people that are in the same stage of recovery as you, as well as keeping an eye on people who are progressing, because of course that's where you want to get to ultimately. But if it's making you feel like you're a failure and you're never going to get there, then you need to back it up a little bit and find people who are in the same stage as you, or maybe just slightly ahead from where you are at, so that you feel like you are resonating with them more, that you've got more of a rapport with where they are at. And so it doesn't seem like it's as far of a stretch to get to where they are now, because that's only a micro step away from where you are right now. But awareness is really the key here for everything. And if you followed my work, then you notice that I talk a lot about awareness because it is so vital. Right? When we can actually step aside and start to become aware of how much negative thinking we have, how much we put ourselves down, for example, then it's very difficult for us to continue to do that when you have raised awareness towards it, right? When you start to realize that, the way that I am experiencing my experiences is through the eyes of somebody who has these deep, dark beliefs about myself. And so I'm not going to see things exactly the way that somebody else is going to see them. Just bringing that awareness to the fact that you do have some limiting beliefs there that are probably from your abuse, but also quite probable that they are just from life experiences, right? We all have different limiting beliefs, say about money and how hard you have to work to get money, for example, nothing to do with abuse, right? And when you start to raise your awareness that there are beliefs that are at play here that might be running your show, they are impacting the way that you experience everything that's going on around you, that awareness starts to allow you to start to take some steps back and starts allowing you to see, so the things that people are saying to me, the way that people are behaving around me, whether we're talking about your loved ones, whether we're looking back on your abuse experiences, whether we are looking at your boss and the way that they don't like to give praise to people. And so you are, feeling like you are unappreciated at work. Whatever it is, you can start to look and see through different eyes that, what, this is affecting me in a negative way because of my past experiences. And that person is not necessarily trying to make me feel this way. They're actually going about their own life based on their own experiences. So, that boss that doesn't like to give praise, maybe they have some serious self esteem issues and they're very uncomfortable with positive comments to them. And so they've learned to not give positive comments out to other people because they're not comfortable with positive feedback themselves. Has nothing to do with you, right? The people in your life that are maybe, cheating on you or not showing their appreciation for you in other ways in life, same sort of thing. You start to raise your awareness that it might be possible that it's not actually about you and that it's actually more about them, that they too have past experiences that are impacting the way that they are behaving now as adults. And my past experiences are impacting the way that I'm interpreting their behavior because I have an abusive past. I am looking through the eyes of somebody who doesn't believe that I deserve better. All of this awareness starts to open doors that you didn't even realize were closed before. You maybe didn't even see that there was even a door there before, and everything starts to change. So, that is my big piece of advice with your comparison and then awareness. And of course, getting help is the third piece of advice. There are so many different types of therapies out there, support groups out there. You are not alone, and you don't need to actually look at your abuse in the detail that you're afraid that you have to look at in order to heal. That's the big thing that I see in my practice, is that people are afraid of the pain that is going to be caused by trying to move forward. And they're so fixated on the pain that they're trying to avoid that they don't realize that by avoiding the moving forward, they're actually causing an enormous amount of pain in their present life. So much more pain than what will ever be brought up by actually working to move forward from this. Through NLP, for example, we don't need to address any specific abuse issues. We focus on the positive. And when we do need to actually look at an experience that you may have had that's brought about a deeply rooted belief, we do that in a very detached and safe way. You don't need to relive any of your experiences. You don't need to bring about pain in order to heal. And in fact, trying to not bring about that pain is in fact causing you pain right now. Again, bring awareness to that. Acknowledge that that is what's happening, and decide for yourself what is the best support that you can get in moving forward. And when you make that decision, and NLP is the decision that you make, then jump on in for a free discovery call with me and learn more. Let me learn more about you and what you're going through, and allow yourself to be open to what NLP can offer you. To access that, it's lifelikeyoumeanit.com/calendar. I cannot wait to meet you. Bless.